Sci-Fi Buzz producer Susan Hyman says that Gerry Anderson is enjoying a renaissance all across America. I bet this guy is loving this.
Wouldn't you? A whole new generation of viewers are tuning into his Supermarionation series. He's got a new syndicated show going on in the fall.
As cool as Sci-Fi Buzz? I bet it's not that cool.
Nothing's that cool.
Thank you, Susan.
But we talked to him a couple days ago, and all he wanted to do was talk about an underappreciated show that he produced 20 years ago.
Like Sci-Fi Buzz, underappreciated.
Yeah, like Sci-Fi Buzz.
Okay, so maybe you've seen more impressive effects in lots of big-budget sci-fi features, but given the fact that UFO made its debut on British television nearly a decade before Star Wars hit theaters, the effects aren't half bad.
Well, I think it's pretty fair to say that we kicked the whole thing off and started the ball rolling.
Gerry Anderson, along with Sylvia Anderson, his ex-wife and partner, set visual effects standards in Supermarionation series like Thunderbirds and Stingray. For the first time, characters weren't simply flimsy dolls dangling awkwardly from strings. When their production segued into live-action TV, they accepted the challenge wholeheartedly. Once again, new visual precedents were set on both sides of the Atlantic.
The special effects, of course, started in the early days when we were making puppet shows for children. And we started to use miniatures combined with high-speed photography and lots of explosions. And the process became refined over the years. Now, when we came on to UFO, clearly the special effects had to be of a very high quality because they were now playing alongside human beings.
We'll be in the area in 8 minutes. Keep me informed of the UFO's progress.
UFO was set in the 1980s, which means that a show that was supposed to take place in the future is now actually set in the past. Well, trivial matters aside, the show not only looked mighty fine for its time, but some believe it had a more talented cast and a stronger storyline than its successor, Space 1999.
At that particular time, there was a great deal of interest about UFOs, and unfortunately, I made the series, and almost the day that it went out, the American Army Air Force concluded a big investigation into UFOs, and they said there are no such things, which was a hell of a start for the show.
Anderson admits the idea of having aliens play the bad guys was sparked by his childhood memories of World War II, when any stranger was the enemy. But it's also been rumored that UFO's Shadow Organization, which stands for Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization, was based on real anti-Cold War organizations like the CIA. Anderson offers a firm negative to that notion.
I've always made it a very, very strict rule, bearing in mind that I knew my shows were being shown throughout the world to young children, and every 3 years they had a new audience. I didn't want to poison any young minds, and so no, we kept away from politics, we kept away from East-West conflict, and that's why we set up our aliens, I guess, as the enemy, because I didn't particularly want to be a contributor to World War III.
Though Anderson relished the chance to finally work with real live actors, UFO's Ed Bishop was a personal favorite, he often found himself longing for simpler times.
I found when I was shooting with actors for the first time, I thought how wonderful, you know, you're able to say action, they walk through a doorway, come across the room, pick up a telephone, speak and think, their eyes are all facing the right way, so that was terrific. But then they started to say to me things like, tell me, Gerry, why am I picking up a red telephone? You know, what is my motivation? Why is the telephone? And then I suddenly realized that I was really swapping one set of problems for another, so.
Since UFO's premature demise after only one season, Anderson continued to stretch visual limits on shows like Space 1999 and Terrahawks. In his latest endeavor, Space Police, he's again steering his creative spaceship deep into the sci-fi fold.
The whole idea here is to take the New York police and transplant them out into space and replay all the wonderful stories that have been staged in New York in the past.
To ensure the show carries that unique Anderson touch, it's been loaded up with state-of-the-art effects called Galactronics. Space Police begins a syndication run in the U.S. this fall. But for those who need their Gerry Anderson fill right now, UFO flashes across screens every Sunday afternoon right here on the Sci-Fi Channel.